Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Catherine with A Perfect Place to Start, and today I am going to be using the gingerbread house 5 ways. So let's get started. So the first way we're going to use this gingerbread house today is to paint it a traditional brown color. I'm just using some brown acrylic paint, and I will list everything that I used in these 5 projects today down in the description box. So I'm just going to paint this entire gingerbread house with the brown acrylic paint minus the trim at the top, and then I'm going to blend in some white acrylic paint with my brown, and I'm going to go ahead and dry brush it. I wanted this to be kind of a lighter color to give it more of the appearance of a cookie or an actual piece of gingerbread. So once I get that totally covered, then I'm going to be working on the trim and the windows. So for this particular trim, I am using some cotton balls that I got from the Dollar Tree, and I just pulled them apart, and I'm going to use them as the snow effect to go all the way around the trim of the top of the tree, and then I'm going to use them to do the trim on the windows, all 3 windows, and then down on the bottom by the door. So there are actually 2 different types of these gingerbread houses. I didn't realize that until I started doing the projects today, but this particular house has the one 3D window at the top and a 3D door, and then the other 2 windows are just part of the gingerbread house, and then the other one has all 3D windows and a door that is not 3D. So one of my subscribers suggested that I use puff paint in another one of my gingerbread DIYs, and I'll list that video up here in the cards and down in my description box. And so I decided to try it out, and that person, who I can't remember who it was, but thank you so much for the tip, because this was a total game changer. This puff paint totally looks like icing. It was super easy to use, and I believe I used it on 3 of the houses today, and I was able to get all 3 houses done with 1 bottle of puff paint. So I picked my puff paint up at Hobby Lobby, over actually in the t-shirt supplies. So once I get that puff paint on, I will say it does take quite a bit of time to dry, so make sure you give yourself a ample amount of drying time. I did even use my heat gun, and it still took quite a while. So these little lollipops were over in the miniature decorations at Hobby Lobby. They come on like a big string. I just cut them off and glued them around to where the lights are engraved into the wood gingerbread house, and then I took these little Christmas trees that I also got from Hobby Lobby. I know the Dollar Tree sells something similar. I just wasn't able to find really any of the bottle brush trees this year, so I got mine at Hobby Lobby. So I went ahead and glued that to the front where the tree wooden cutout is, and then I hid the bottom of the tree in the cotton balls. So I do actually end up gluing part of the cotton ball here onto the bottom of the tree just to hide the bottom, so it looks like the tree is underneath or in the snow. So once I get those on, I picked up these giant lollipops at Hobby Lobby as well, and they had sticks. I just removed them and removed the little hanging pieces, and then I'm just going to glue them all around the top or the trim of the house. So I thought that these turned out so cute. Originally I was just going to put one in the middle, but then I decided that looked kind of funny. But I really liked how they ended up turning out with all of them. I did use the entire package here. There were 6 of them, and I used all 6 of them to go around the trim of this house. I do go ahead and just hot glue them to the cotton balls, and then I decided that the windows needed like a little bit of gingerbread magic, so I found these little gingerbread ornaments also in the miniature section of Hobby Lobby, and I just glued a different one to each front of the window, and I found this really fun gumdrop star that I put in the middle as the wreath on the tree, and then this is the final look of this project. So this particular house ends up being my favorite of the day. I let my kids vote and their favorite was the candy house, and so I put that one as the first one. Let me know which of the houses today is your favorite, and we'll go with emojis today. So if the first one, the candy house, was your favorite, then leave me a candy emoji. If this one is your favorite, leave me a red heart. So I went ahead and just used a Christmas red acrylic paint, and I covered the whole house with that color. I think it's totally a beautiful red color. Kind of reminds me of a candy apple. And then I'm using my puff paint again, and I'm going to go over the windows, the snowy part of the ledge, and then it's a little hard to tell here, but in the roof, I only outlined the roof and left the kind of cream color underneath, as well as the windows, and I really loved how that turned out. This reminded me of a barn. So I went traditional here. I used these little wreaths that I picked up at Hobby Lobby. I know that they sell something similar at the Dollar Tree, and I just glued one on each window, and I'm going to glue the little trees on the sides where the tree cutouts are. And then I decided for a kind of a fun twist on the lights, I found these little pine cone picks at Hobby Lobby, and they come in like a whole bunch. I had to use some wire cutters to cut them apart, but I'm going to go ahead and hang those along the ledge and around the roof as where the lights would be hanging. I kind of felt like this gave it a more lodge look because, again, this reminded me of a barn. But I definitely love traditional Christmas colors, and so here is the final look of this project. So for this gingerbread house, I had kind of a farmhouse theme in mind, and I had gotten a few of the ornaments that were a little bit too big, and so I didn't get the total farmhouse feel that I was going for, but I do really think this turns out pretty cute. So once I paint it with the brown acrylic paint, I had already started to paint some of the snow on. Forgot to do the dry brushing, so I just went ahead and went back with a lighter shade of brown, and I did end up just dry brushing over all of it, including the snow, and then I just went back with some white paint and covered up that part. And then I'm going to go ahead and go in with some black paint, and I'm going to paint the door and window trim with some black paint. So this is another one of those houses that has one 3D window and the 3D door. I feel like I like the 3D windows better than the 3D door, just because it's easier to cover up that wreath section in the door part than it is the windows. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. So once I get the trim all covered with black and the windows, I'm going to add some fake snow here to the top of this one. So I just used regular white acrylic paint to cover the snow parts this time, and then I'm taking some of this fake snow that they have over at the Dollar Tree and also at Hobby Lobby. This was in my stash, and I just happened to have a bag from Hobby Lobby, but they do sell this at the Dollar Tree. And I'm just using hot glue here. You could also use Mod Podge if you wanted to, but I go over like the whole icicle part of the roof with my hot glue, and then I just sprinkle on the like iridescent snow part. And then for the wreaths, I'm using those same farmhouse wreaths that I got from Hobby Lobby. I just removed the red bows and applied these little black and white buffalo check bows I also got in the miniature section. And I'm going to go ahead and glue one to each window, the door, and then I added some trees again, and then I put some snow on the ledges as well. And then I got this cute snowflake garland that I applied just on the trim right here. And then here is the final look of this house. If this one is your favorite, I would love it if you left me a black heart.
And oh, this time of year, we come together to celebrate. Yes, every time the snow is falling down and it is cold outside, we gather around the fireplace.
This house, my husband thought that a royal blue color would be pretty for one of the houses, and so I was kind of inspired by his look because we thought the red one looked like a barn. So I don't know if he was thinking like a navy blue barn, but it ends up being more of an elegant house for this DIY. But I go ahead and cover it with my navy paint, which is really one of my favorite colors. And then I'm using some gold acrylic paint, and I'm going to paint all the window sills with the gold acrylic paint along with the door frame. So I do leave the natural wood color in the windows. I really like the effect of that with the color on the outside, even if it's just white. I think it really adds a pop to the windows. And the trim on the roof, because I think I really like the idea of the natural color coming through up there. It's a nice contrast to the other colors. So I'm using my puff paint again, and I'm going to go ahead and go over the window sills, and I go ahead and outline the top of the roof and leave the natural part showing, and then I do some white on the bottom for the snow. I do end up leaving it like this for a little bit, and then I decide that the house needs a trim, and so I go back with my gold paint and I trim out the rest of the house with the gold paint. So I really love, just this one's pretty simple, and I really love like the elegant look of this one. I think this would make a really cute planter. I had seen another gingerbread house planter at one time that was like a traditional one that someone had made out of foam board, but I think it would be really fun to paint two of them this way and then kind of add some maybe gold bottle bush trees in there or something like that. So maybe you'll see that coming on my channel soon as a DIY. But I'm just adding, like I said, the puff paint here around the edges. This, again, to my subscriber who suggested using this, was just a game changer, and I absolutely loved how it turned out. I definitely want to use more puff paint in some other projects, but I really just loved how this looked like icing. So then I'm going to go ahead and take one of the wreaths that came in that pack, and I added a gold bell to the top of this wreath, and then I decided to go ahead and glue bells along the roof line and the top of the house to look like lights, and I think that this added such a fun look. So if this house ends up being your favorite, I would love it if you left me a bell down in the comments below. But here is the final look of how this one turned out. So I had a winter wonderland theme in mind for this particular tree, so I went ahead, this particular house. So I covered the entire house with some white acrylic paint, and now I'm going to use my hot glue again, and I'm just going to cover the top of the roof with my hot glue. Now, I thought the hot glue added kind of a fun effect here. So I've seen ornaments done where people just used hot glue and created like a clear ornament. I think that it might be kind of fun to leave the hot glue on the top to kind of look like icicles. I don't know. Maybe I'll try it on something smaller. But I go ahead and add my fake snow all around the top and the window sills and the bottom. And then it's hard to tell in this video, but I did take one of those snowflake garlands. I cut off all the little tiny snowflakes, and I'm gluing them where the ornaments or the lights would hang on the house. And then I took these giant snowflakes and I glued each one to the windowsill, kind of like a wreath, and then one to the door. And then I do go ahead and take two more of those small bottle brush trees. I cut off the bottoms this time, and I just sort of insert them into the snowy part on the bottom to make it look like they are in the snow. And then that is it for this project. If this one ends up being your favorite, I would love it if you left me a snowflake down in the comments and check out how it turned out.
Last year I thought about how things can come around just like that if everyone is here to celebrate one day.
So here's a look at all the houses together. Make sure you leave me a comment down in the bottom with your emoji to show me which one was your favorite. Remember, the blue house is a bell emoji, the red house is a red heart, the Candyland house is a piece of candy, the white house is a snowflake, and the farmhouse house is a black heart. If you loved this video, make sure you check out this other gingerbread DIY video I have here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the bell so you're notified every time I make a video. And as always, wherever you are in your journey is a perfect place to start. And I will see you in my next video.